Coast Conference.
Raynaud jumping center with Cam Corrin, and it's Pittsburgh with the basketball first. Here is Lowe, the sophomore from Missouri City, Texas, and good to see Ishmael Legget back into the starting lineup for Pitt. Missed a game with an ankle sprain. Lots of options on the offensive end for Pittsburgh this year. One of them is Cam Corrin, the Florida State transfer, averaging 11 points and 6 rebounds a game.
And Cam Corrin becoming much more of an offensive threat for Jeff Capel and this Pitt team. A guy they're going to have to rely on for interior buckets.
Raynaud, great shot fake. Ryan Agarwal penetrates, little runner, left it short. Out of bounds was Pittsburgh's Zack Austin, so Stanford will have it on the baseline.
Are they going to say that that was a?
To me, it's a change of possession. It should go back to 30.
Well, they're going to reset the shot clock right now to 20.
Saying it was an offensive rebound, but I don't agree with that.
Well, again, did he have firm control of the basketball possession before he stepped on the line?
Clearly, the officials said no. So shot clock now down to 15. This is Jaland Blake's, the Duke grad transfer, played for the Blue Devils the last 3 years.
As we talk about that matchup at the point guard, as Maxime Raynaud gets his first bucket of the game, is Jaland and Jaland. So you make sure that everybody understands. Of course, in the Pitt starting five, you see Jaland Lowe running the show for the Panthers.
And again, good to see Legget back into the starting lineup, which only makes the Pitt bench that much stronger. Brandon Cummings got the start Wednesday when this team rallied from 16 down to beat Cal.
And that's a young man that Pitt is waiting to see get going from outside. Guillermo is knocking down the three. That much more dangerous when he's able to stretch the floor, especially with Cam Corrin on the inside.
Yeah, Guillermo Diaz-Graham, only 24%. He's a much better shooter than that. He's really the only Pitt player not shooting the basketball well.
And that's something we saw Jeff Capel actually got on the floor, demonstrated earlier today how he wanted his post players to defend Raynaud. He told them, take the bump, do not fall down, don't try to get a charge. But you see Raynaud with that left arm pushing off, getting an offensive foul in the first turnover for the Cardinals.
First foul for the senior from Paris, France. 7'1", 245 pounds. In the midst of an All-American season, Austin, who is a terrific shooter, misses badly on his first attempt. Good defense by Legget to get a hand on that pass. Stanford keeps. The USC transfer with a long two, Isaiah Sellers, makes it 5-4.
And Sellers playing very confident basketball, averaging over 14 points per game. Really a big three for the Cardinal when they go out on the floor between, of course, Raynaud as well as Sellers and Jaland Blanks.
Sellers is a Bay Area kid, grew up in Hayward, about a 45-minute drive from the Stanford campus over the San Mateo Bridge. Corrin back outside, Lowe the extra pass. Legget with 2 on the shot clock, missed it, long rebound Corrin. What has Cam Corrin brought to this Pittsburgh team from Florida State this year, Corrin?
Start with offensive rebounding. He's already shown that off, but he's a guy, not much a back-to-basket scorer, but he is a face-up guy. Was a freshman of the week a couple of years ago at Florida State, and it showed tremendous promise, but now getting used to a much greater role, averaging close to 30 minutes per game for Jeff Capel.
Legget has his first 2 points of the night. He and Lowe both averaged 17.5 per game. 6th in the ACC.
Short closeout. And that's not a mistake you would see from Ishmael Legget often. Raynaud was 0 for 5 the last time out against Clemson, but of course he has the ability to shoot it from beyond the arc. Hand down on that possession, he raised up easy.
The other thing about Raynaud is Corrin tries to save it. It'll be Pittsburgh basketball. Raynaud is 7'1" and his release is so high, a closeout may not do anything to him.
But as a guard, and you see the switch, when you are out here, look at Legget, his hands are down. You've got to get in, crowd his space, force a 7-footer to have to drive the basketball around you because you know he's an elite shooter from beyond the arc.
The 2024 Pac-12 most improved player, and he's taken yet another jump forward as a senior this year. Here defending Long, who rattles it out. Stanford with the basketball off the Agarwal rebound. Blake's calls for the screen. Raynaud gets doubled up. Cross-court pass. There's Corin on the defensive glass, and he draws the foul that will go against Aiden Kamen of the Cardinal. Good start to the ball game here at the Pitt, all tied at 7 early. His father, also an accomplished head coach. No excuses, figure it out. He has figured it out here at Pitt.
They absolutely have. Back-to-back 20-win seasons. NCAA tournament 2 seasons ago. Got robbed. Should have been in the tournament last year. However, looking to reach it once again this year. And for Jeff Capel, he also will make sure to give his staff a tremendous amount of credit. He has not done this alone. A consistent staff, with them, of course, a very experienced staff. All of his assistant coaches with head coaching experience. And shout out to my little brother, Jason Capel, who's not with the team today, under the weather. But I know he's watching at home. And this was actually his scout. So he passed it on to Milan Brown once he wasn't going to be able to be here today.
A lot of head coaching experience on that bench for Jeff Capel. His brother Jason was the head coach at App State. Milan, who you mentioned, at Mount St. Mary's and Holy Cross. And then the great Tim O'Toole, former head coach at Fairfield University. And he has kept his staff together, and that pays dividends.
It absolutely does. And again, a loyal staff, a great group to have together. And you've seen this program grow by leaps and bounds since they've been here.
And credit to the Pitt administrators for giving him the opportunity to get it going. Raynaud gets the role. After 4 years, they could have said, okay, that's enough. But they stuck with him, and look where they are now.
Absolutely, and that would have been a mistake. And you see that this place has been revitalized. The zoo is back jumping. And okay, this is a crowd without students.
Right.
The students aren't even in session right now, but you still, the popularity of Pitt basketball is back in this community.
And oh, by the way, the Steelers are hosting the Bengals at 8 o'clock tonight over on ESPN and ABC. And so there are a lot of folks who didn't make the trip down here to the Pitt who will be watching that, but still great energy in the building, as we've become accustomed to in the last couple of years for Coach Capel. Out of bounds, back to Pittsburgh with Stanford on top 9-7. 49-year-old Jeff Capel III. He has the zoo reinvigorated. And when the students are on break, as they are now, they make those tickets in the Oakland Zoo available for the general public. And so we've got good representation over there.
Got to be a bucket list item if you're from this area, recognizing how important the zoo has been to this program.
Brandon Cummings into the game off the bench for Pittsburgh, number 3 in white. Corin lost the handle. Stanford with it.
Jalen Blake's attacking right there, but recognizing he's going to have the big guy following him. But you see the skill of Raynaud, the pump fake, and then the ability to handle the basketball, get into the painted area, a little push shot in the paint. And now you see Stanford getting back into a zone defensively. Always the best place to attack the zone is in the middle. Cam Corin unable to get it to go.
Raynaud is 4 for 4, 9 points, well on his way to what would be a nation best 12th double-double. And he has a personal 7-0 run to put Stanford up by 4. Block shot by Diaz-Graham. Out of bounds. It'll be Stanford basketball. Coach Capel doesn't think so.
Yeah, you see Jeff still can move a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned it earlier, Corey. We saw him during shoot-around get very involved again today, showing what his defenders should be ready to deal with Jalen Blake's. And looked like he still got a pretty good handle.
Yeah, he definitely got the handle. Now, the feet don't move as fast as they did back in the day. As we see the foul on Cummings, he's looking over, saying that there was a leg kick that forced him to make contact on that possession. But and one thing for certain, you know, the hands are still quick. And smart play here by Sellers to get that right leg out, get the contact.
And here is Sellers, who went to Southern California Academy, but he is a NorCal kid, again from Hayward, who has come home to play his final 2 years of college basketball. Spent 2 years with the Trojans in Southern California, but he has made a big leap, gotten a bigger opportunity for minutes, and after scoring 5 a game last year, he's up to over 14 per game this year.
And he's a young man that average could go up as the season goes along. As you mentioned, starting to find his way, his role for this team. And also when you have to be relied upon. That pressure adds oftentimes more production.
Legget got the shot off and got the roll. I thought Sellers was going to block the shot from behind.
Sellers should get a point for that one. If Legget gets one, Sellers should get one as well. He got to handle that basketball.
So the Pitt senior from Prince George's County, Maryland, snaps the Stanford run. Cardinal with it on top by 4.
FYI, for now, you can say PG County. I'm just saying. That's what we call it.
I miss you. I miss you, CA.
I know, it's been too long, my man.
Off the bounce, Sellers starting to heat up.
Yeah, it hasn't been too long for Sellers putting points on the board, though. 2 at the line on the last possession, and now going to the corner for the 3 ball. Oh, they're going to count as a 2.
Sellers took it away.
And this is Blake's game right here. He's been a welcome addition to this Stanford ball club. They had no idea that he would be able to give them this type of offensive production coming in. They knew what he could do defensively. But offensively, he's been better than advertised.
Well, based on what he was coming out of Blair Academy in New Jersey, he was the number 89 recruit 3 years ago. Just never got the opportunity to flourish offensively as we've seen this year at Stanford during his 3 years at Duke.
And we talked to him about that. He gave a very educated political answer where he talked about, well, you know, I did the best I could do in my role. But I know underneath the competitor that he is, as we see Cam Corn with the back to the bucket basket there. But Jalen Blake's, I'm sure he'd say, hey, listen, I could have done this at Duke had I got those minutes.
Into the paint. Blakes gives to Raynaud, finds the cutter. Sellers tried to put it up on the reverse, gets it back. Out to Blakes. Corn saves, Pittsburgh with it, down by 7. Pitt has won 14 games in a row here. It's their longest at the Pete in 11 years.
Such a smart play by Jaland Lowe there, putting the defender behind him and then using the separation to be able to get the layup on the glass, forcing the defender to have to lay off. Otherwise, he'd be shooting a free throw with the and one.
You see his balanced numbers there. Only Cam Jones at Marquette, the other guy in the country, averaging 17 points, 6 assists, 4.5 rebounds per game.
Raynaud off to a great start. 5 for 5 from the field already. He has been an automatic bucket when he's got the basketball in his hand.
Is he the ACC Player of the Year?
He absolutely is right now. In the early season, you have to. You think about a guy leading the league in scoring and rebounding and doing it in a very efficient manner.
Blake's dribbled it off his own leg. Pittsburgh comes up with it. So not Cooper Flagg at Duke.
Right now, I'm going with Raynaud. Cooper Flagg is clear away the freshman of the year, rookie of the year, no question about that. But Coop's not leading the league in scoring and rebounding.
Again, Raynaud averaging nearly 21 points, 12 rebounds a game, both tops in the league. The scoring is 10th in the country. Layup by Kamen. The redshirt freshman from Andover, Mass. has his first 2.
And one thing we need to mention, Pittsburgh is averaging over 90 points per game in their last 3 home games. They are shooting the basketball extremely well on this floor. Only 13 points in the first 10 minutes of this game. So give Stanford a tremendous amount of credit for following the game plan, the scouting report defensively, and slowing down these Panthers, which has been hard. The positive things happen for the Cardinal. And you see showing off that touch from about 16 feet, has that ability, and can also stretch it from well beyond the 3-point arc. But where he does the majority of his damage is on the block. Once he catches the basketball in the post area, he's able to make things happen. And even showing off his nifty ball handling ability and the soft touch around the rim here this evening.
Well, he's been putting up this season numbers at Stanford in points and rebounds not seen on the farm since the great Adam Keefe back in the early 90s.
And I can on time under Randy Bennett at same areas to be able to cut his teeth on the defensive end of the floor. And we've seen him. We know that he will throw different defenses out there. That, of course, Pitt is prepared for the 1-3-1 that you'll see throughout this day, but also man-to-man principles allow them to be successful.
He was a Division III basketball star at Hamilton College in upstate New York back in the late 80s, early 90s. He didn't want to take credit for it today. But for one season, he shot 51% from beyond the 3-point line.
Man, that is elite of elite. 51. Anytime you shoot 50% from 3, let's start with the fact that there are very few people that can ever say they've done that in a career. But Coach Smith absolutely showing his humility, did not want to take any part of the credit for the team's success.
Nope, he said his better teammates on that #1 ranked team 30 years ago were drawing all the defensive attention. He had open shots. Jaland Lowe for the Panthers with the basketball. Shot clock down to 5. In a tough spot. And the pass is going to go out of bounds. Back to Stanford. 4th turnover committed by Pitt.
But give Agarwal a tremendous amount of credit for staying down on that possession. Did not go for the pump fakes, didn't go for any of the movement of Jaland Lowe in the painted area. And you look as he stays down. Oftentimes defenders will bite on that first pump fake, allowing Lowe, such a smart point guard, to get him in the air and draw a foul. Agarwal stays on the ground, forcing the turnover.
Blakes has had a breakout season since transferring as a graduate from Duke. Chizamak-Para off the bench, the Harvard transfer, misses his first shot attempt. Pittsburgh basketball.
Now, it's one thing to do well in the portal, but it's a completely different scenario to do well in the portal at Stanford, because the academic requirements involved to be able to be a part of the Cardinal program are different than where you're going to find in many other places. So give Kyle Smith and his staff a tremendous amount of credit for the guys they were able to bring in this year.
It is obviously a world-class institution. Cam Corin with the garbage points, picked it up and laid it in. One thing that's different about Stanford this year is that Kyle Smith and his staff have been allowed to bring in undergraduate transfers. First time that's occurred in 15 years.
But they also have to be, you can't bring in a guy that's already completed 3 years of eligibility. You have to be a sophomore or younger to be able to make that transfer to come into Stanford. With academic requirements, they're not allowing people that have already played 3 years to be able to come in.
So Darren Saran transferred in from UC Irvine. He's been buried deep on the bench, but Chizamak-Para transferred in from Harvard. I'm guessing academically he was probably okay.
I think he's okay.
And then Isaiah Sellers out of USC transferring back home to Northern California. So those are the 3 undergraduate transfers by Kyle Smith and his staff coming in to help fortify the Cardinal, who are 9-4 on the year. There's the former Harvard Crimson missing from 3.
And I would also assume that their GPAs have to be relatively high at the previous university to be able to make that transfer.
5th turnover committed by Pitt. Here come the Cardinal. This is Sellers to Agarwal. Hard foul given by Austin. Good job by Akpara to bring energy off the bench for Coach Smith. And off of those Pittsburgh turnovers, Stanford so far has cashed them into 7 points, and coincidentally that's the lead right now, 22-15. What a women's basketball doubleheader we have for you tomorrow afternoon on ESPN and the app as Hannah Hidalgo and number 3 Notre Dame take on number 17 North Carolina at 1 Eastern. And then number 15 Tennessee hosts Oklahoma, the 9th ranked team in the country in Knoxville. Should be a great day of hoops on ESPN. And Corey, I ask you, what is most impressive for you for the great Hannah Hidalgo, the 5'6" guard at Notre Dame, that she scores 26 a game, that she has 6.4 rebounds a game, or her 4.1 steals per game?
The most impressive part is the way that she has formed the best backcourt in the country with Olivia. The 2 of them together have been spectacular. And so for Hannah Hidalgo, who got to do it all herself last year, bringing in another elite player off of injury, and the way that they've combined in that backcourt to be so special.
Get a chance to see she and the Irish tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern time against Carolina on ESPN.
Another good job defensively by the Panthers off a 3 off of Austin. Now a little bit of momentum in the Panthers' favor, taken away by the offensive foul. And you can see Ishmael Legget, who missed the last game against Cal, he's not at 100%. He's trying to fight through it for his team. However, he doesn't have the ability to blow by like he has in the past. Great job defensively by Blake. In the 80s and 90s, you can absolutely see Sean Penn playing Kyle Smith in a movie about his life.
Well, Kyle Smith, the Pac-12 Coach of the Year last year, led the Cardinal to 25 wins and the NCAA tournament. Akpara down the lane, and he is fouled. Zack Austin didn't believe it, but number 55 in white gets the call. He wears the number 55 to honor the memory of his mom, Cynthia Austin, who died in 2017 at the age of 55. Her son picks up the foul there.
And Zack going for the block shot, doesn't get it, picks up the foul there, but 2 blocks away from 200 in his career, which puts him in elite company.
Oh my gosh. I mean, he's going to become, along with Shane Battier, the only people with 1,200 career points, 600 rebounds, 175 three-point shots, and 200 blocks. Came into the game 2 blocks shy of that, which then makes me think, at his size and his athletic ability at 6'7", 210, could he possibly find his way into the league as a 3-and-D type of guy?
He absolutely could. I mean, again, it most likely would have to take the long route. I'm not sure he'll be a draft pick, but depending upon his love for the game and how long he's willing to give it an opportunity and a chance, as we see Ishmael Legget getting to the bucket, absorbing the contact and the and-one opportunity, getting to the line. Nice manipulation of the screen and roll action there by Legget, getting into the painted area. And I love the design to bring out against the zone the defender out of the middle to set a screen. No one available right there in the middle of the painted area against the zone, allowing Legget to get to a sweet spot.
Corey, I would say the ankle looks much better. He injured it during the break in practice, missed their last game, and did have a wrap, a brace on it during shoot-around earlier today, but no brace right now and playing free and loose.
Well, I'm sure he didn't want to tape for shoot-around, so had to put that brace on. He didn't want to allow Jeff Capel to see him without a brace on it.
Last year's 6th man of the year in the ACC, playing a starring role this year. Good ball movement to find Aiden Cammon inside, but he had it knocked away. Guillermo Diaz-Graham back into the game for Pittsburgh. His twin brother fires away. Jorge is now 10 for 18 from 3 on the year.
And Jorge is talking about it on the way back. And he checked in already hot. Jorge Diaz-Graham catching one. The kick out, no hesitation, allowing it to fly. Was 4 for 4 in a game earlier this year. Off to a great start here today. Dougie Fresh, we talked about how Pitt would guard Raynaud. They would send different looks at him, but you see the rotation to be able to get back and come up with the block shot, which turns into a great offensive opportunity for the Panthers. But they do not want to allow Maxime Raynaud to see the same look over and over again. Jeff Capel wants to keep him on his heels and keep him off balance. Got off to a great start, making his first 5 field goal attempts. That's more than enough to have to send a double team.
Yeah, he's got 11. Stanford opened up an 18-9 lead, but Pittsburgh's come all the way back. While the Cardinal has gone cold, Ryan Agarwal still looking for his first bucket of the day. And then the foul is called. It's going to go against Cammon. Good fight inside by Legget, who gets up smiling with a high five from his teammate, Jorge Diaz-Graham.
But Cammon wanted that to be a tied-up jump ball possession, and that's what he was looking for. As you see the shot go up, first off, Ishmael Legget is an elite rebounding guard. But right here, this is where Cammon wanted the tied up, but that was a great job of officiating right there by Teddy Valentine. Cammon never at one point had both hands on the basketball to force that arrow possession.
Second foul on the 6'10" redshirt freshman. And Legget continues to heat up.
Well, the second time we've seen him go to that same action to get into the painted area, get to the mid-range, and the short shot. But it's his ball handling ability and manipulating the screen and roll action that allows him to be successful.
Pittsburgh has erased the 9-point deficit led by Leggett's scoring. Five to shoot. Raynaud says, clear out, I'm going to go to work on Guillermo Diaz-Graham, and he is still perfect on the night.
And Diaz-Graham has to understand as the shot clock is going down, Raynaud was simply just getting guys out of his area, trying to lull them to sleep to get that 3 off. Got to recognize where the shot clock is at that time, crowd him.
He's taken as many as 10 3-point shots in the game this year. He makes them at a good clip. Legget showing off again the mid-range game.
And he has found the sweet spot right now against this zone that Stanford has played multiple possessions. He's found his way to be able to get to where he wants to go and turn it into points.
So he was nearly a 1,000-point scorer in his 3 years at Rhode Island before transferring last year to Pitt. Really blossoming as a scorer here this year. Stanford's going to need Agarwal to start making shots out there.
That was a great box out by Cam Corn, allowing the fastest guy in the league to get out in transition. Unable to get a bucket right there, but Jaland Lowe covering a lot of ground as we see Maxime Raynaud really just waving guys out of the area. As the shot clock's going down, you know what's going to happen. But on the other end of the floor, Ishmael Legget for the 3rd to 4th straight time getting to the painted area and getting a bucket in the mid-range.
Lowe flashes out, wide open 3. In and out.
That was Stanford is number 4.
Under 4 minutes to go first half. Isaiah Sellers back into the game, feeds inside to Blakes, works along the baseline, and he is fouled by Cam Corrin. And that'll take us to break. 3:52 on the clock, all tied at 28.
Passer, so knows the league very well. A very smart hire by Coach Kyle Smith coming into the ACC.
Yeah, back home on the farm, former Stanford Cardinal himself, former head coach at the Division I level. A tremendous asset for Kyle Smith and his transition. Held ball to the chagrin of the folks here at the Peterson Event Center. With Corey Alexander, I'm Doug Sherman. Welcome back, everybody. Tied at 28. We'll take another look here.
And you see, now again, both hands on the basketball. So Agarwal does a good job of tying that one up and getting the possession back. We see a zone defensively by the Panthers.
Pitt with a takeaway. Legget forces the 5th Stanford turnover of the night. Which twin was going to take that ball?
Well, you want Jorge taking it, even though Guillermo has been good as he lines one up, unable to knock it down. Jorge can get hot in a hurry against VMI. Was 4 of 4 from beyond the arc. We saw him step into the game here this evening and knock down his first 3. So I believe that pass was to Jorge.
Well, they have, as most twins do, a connection that those of us who are not twins, we just can't understand, and it translates on the basketball floor.
We're not twins?
You know who is twins? Maxime Raynaud and his teammate Jaland Blakes. They call each other twins because, do you know, Corey?
I do not know.
They were born on the exact same day.
Wow. Guess who else was born on the exact same day? Jorge and Guillermo. Jaland Lowe getting to his spot. Great footwork. Able to finish on the turnaround jumper. Spent some time with Jalen this summer at the CP3 camp. Of course, watched him growing up. Playing for the Houston Hoops back in the day. Coached by his dad, Marlon, who's not here. Who's having to watch.
What?
Yeah, had to go back and coach his younger child, the middle child today. So I believe he got a big win. Mom was telling us earlier the score was like 99-36. So she said that Marlon could have actually stayed. But hey.
Mom is here, though.
Mom is here. Jamila is in the stands.
Legget, nifty pass received by Guillermo Diaz-Graham.
There it is.
To his twin brother.
There it is. I'm trying to tell you, that's the one you want shooting the 3. Great find from Guillermo to Jorge, who's able to knock down the corner 3 ball to push the lead to 4 for the Panthers.
Now Guillermo, number 25, is the older and the taller twin, and apparently he carries himself as such as the older brother.
Oh.
Good burst by Sellers, hanging in the air for 2.
You can see Sellers' confidence growing. And again, as a transfer, when you come into a new scenario, you're not necessarily sure what the coach expects from you, but you can see his role growing under Coach Kyle Smith, and that confidence is growing alongside.
And that snapped a 7-0 Pittsburgh run. Legget uses the screen into the lane. Even though he knew a 7'1" shot blocker was between him and the rim, it didn't matter.
But he had a teammate cut to the basket, which allowed the shot blocker to have to retreat and gave him enough space to be able to get his shot off. I want to say that's probably the 5th basket in the paint so far for Ishmael Legget.
Well, he's got a total of 13 points. Raynaud, who he shot over, leads all scorers with 14 here tonight with under a minute to go in the half. Pittsburgh, the number 13 team in the country by net. That is Raynaud's first miss of the night.
But you see how Jaland Lowe crowded him. He didn't allow him to be comfortable in his space.
Lowe behind the back, taken away by Raynaud. Sellers. About a 3-second difference between the two clocks.
Jeff Capel going to get the timeout to talk it over, make sure his team gets the last shot of the half, or at least a quality look to end the half, as the Panthers have stormed back to take a 5-point lead here on their home floor.
The Pitt Panthers have turned the Peterson Event Center back into a true home court advantage. They've won 14 in a row, their longest streak in years, and the twin brothers, Guillermo and Jorge Diaz-Graham, hooking up repeatedly here in the first half.
And then, of course, Ishmael Legget getting to the mid-range, and you see as Cam Corrin goes to the basket, that forces Raynaud to retreat, allowing Legget to have easy pickings right in the lane.
So let's see, coming out of that timeout, what Coach Capel drew up for the Panthers.
But you still have the 1-3-1 zone now from Stanford, so they switched it up also to change the look for the Panthers coming out of the timeout.
5 seconds on the shot clock. Lowe puts it up and in. Little shrug of the shoulders, and Stanford doesn't get the ball in quickly. Blakes heaves it. And that is the end of the first half.
But one thing that Stanford, it's a small mistake, but it cost them a quality look. They allowed the basketball, but the clock will not stop once the ball goes through the rim off the shot of Jaland Lowe. They allowed about 3 seconds to run off the clock, which would have given them an opportunity to get a much better shot at the end of the half.
Maxime Raynaud, who leads the league in scoring and rebounding, has 14 points. Helped open up a 9-point lead, but Ishmael Legget and the Panthers have stormed back. We send it back to the studio to Kevin Connors.
I'm going to go as far as to say it's pretty good.
They're going to win a lot of games. Best start in 8 years for Pitt. 11-2 overall, 2-0 in league play. They won 14 in a row here at the Pitt. And their net ranking illustrates that. They are number 13 in the country. And unlike last year, where they didn't make that much hay in the non-conference, they did very well in the non-conference against good opponents this year.
They really did. If you excuse the hiccup against Mississippi State in the ACC, SEC challenge.
That was a big hiccup.
That was a huge hiccup. But outside of that, they have been special. Lost to Wisconsin, but a ranked Wisconsin team. So you're talking about a Panther squad is one of the very few teams that have a chance of making to the NCAA tournament with an at-large bid if they don't win the ACC tournament. And you look at the wins already for them: West Virginia, LSU, and at Ohio State. A big deal winning that game on the road in overtime.
Stanford comes in 9-4 overall, 1-1 in league play. And again, this is the second game of their Eastern time zone swing. They lost Wednesday at Clemson 85-61 in a game that got away from them. Kyle Smith and his team came up here to Pittsburgh right after the game and have spent the last 2.5–3 days here in the Steel City. Had a couple of practices each of the last 2 days here in this building, including a shoot-around today, I should say, as well as a shoot-around today. There goes Legget. Again, that ankle is no problem tonight.
But if you go back to something that Jeff Capel told us in pregame, they want to make sure that Raynaud has to defend. they want to try to find ways to go at him. And you see his guy's the screener. Of course, oftentimes you'll see that switch or in the zone. He has the responsibility of trying to keep Legget out of the paint and hasn't been able to do so.
Kicked basketball. Reset the shot clock from 14 to 20.
So as you watch on the offensive end of the floor, Cam Corn coming out to get Legget having to switch off, forgive me, to get Raynaud having to switch off onto Legget. That's a mismatch in Leggett's favor when he has the basketball in his hands attacking the 7-footer off the bounce.
Raynaud has the second defender come. Sellers pass to nobody. Austin able to lay it over the rim for two.
Love the vet move by Austin right there. Lowered the shoulder to get Aguilar out of the way and then to go up and get the easy layup. And now the Panthers starting to score points off of their defense. It was a 10-4 advantage for Stanford and points off turnovers in the first half. Pitt changing things here in the second half.
Oh, double dribble.
Thought he got away with it for a second. You watch Austin off the turnover. First, he's fastest to the ball, but watch him lower the shoulder and not push off. If he pushes off, his offensive foul, but he's allowed to lower that shoulder to create a little separation and then knocks Aguilar out of the way and gets the easy finish.
Yeah, Austin's every bit of 6'7", 210 pounds, a senior from Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
That was a confident play by Guillermo, going off the bounce, catching it as the defender rotates to him. And I love the way all the Panthers waited for each other at half court to gather up. You can see the chemistry is flowing in the right direction for the Panthers.
Guillermo, 7 feet tall, Jorge 6'11". They are a terrific 1-2 combo for Pitt.
They're absolutely terrific, especially when they're knocking down shots from beyond the perimeter. Not the traditional 7-foot guys that can play with their back to the basket. They have the ability to stretch the floor, also play off the bounce. But when Jeff Capel is getting production from both of these twins, watch out, this Pitt team can be dangerous.
The 9th set of brothers in Pittsburgh basketball program history, and they have helped an 11-0 Pitt run spanning the two halves. They've scored the first 6 points of the second half to open up their largest lead of the night.
So when you say 9th set of brothers, do they have to play together?
That I don't know. I don't know so if they were all teammates.
Would that make Nelly and Brandon Cummings the 10th set of brothers?
That very well could be. That's a great point. We'll have to ask Matt, the SID for Pittsburgh, about that.
Okay.
We haven't seen much of Brandon Cummings. We know his older brother Nelly, who played 1 year here at Pitt a couple of years ago, is in the building. Blakes gave up the foul, and down hard went Guillermo Diaz-Graham. He's back up and okay.
Smart foul by Jalen Blakes. However, getting back now, allowing the momentum to increase with what would have been a dunk. I was looking forward to seeing what Guillermo was going to do on this one.
Yeah, Blakes was not going to let that happen.
Yeah, but makes a play on the basketball, though. I mean, nothing dirty about that at all.
Here's Jaland Lowe. Keeps the dribble, calls his own number, and I think maybe the defender got a piece of that.
I believe so. I don't think Jalen's going to miss one that badly. And he definitely reacted as though he would say, yes, that was showing it on this huge jumbotron here at the Peterson Event Center. He definitely got a piece. That's a block shot by Sellers.
And then the second foul of the night against Maxime Raynaud. What does Stanford need to do to get Raynaud back involved offensively? They need his scoring.
They need his scoring, but they're going to need someone else to make a play because the Panthers are going to load up on Raynaud and force someone else to have to beat them. Of course, we talk about Raynaud is unable to get that one to go, but we talk about Sellers and Blake's both averaging over 14 points per game. Blake's over 15 a game, and so he's been held in check from an offensive standpoint.
Foul committed by Aiden Kamen, a redshirt freshman out of Brewster Academy. And so Ishmael Legget out of PG County, Maryland.
There you go.
At the free throw line out of St. John's College High School. Here's next Saturday's ACC Network men's basketball triple header. Clemson hosts Florida State at Little John to start us off at 2 Eastern, and then North Carolina and NC State square off in Raleigh. And finally, Virginia Tech takes on Cal. Should be another great day of hoops on the ACC Network. Carolina coming off a big win today in South Bend. The late 4-point play by Elliot Cadeau, a 3-point bucket, and he was fouled and made the game-winning free throw as the Tar Heels come away with a win.
But the return of Marcus Burton was a big deal for, of course, getting him back from Notre Dame. That is huge.
Yeah, he had 23 points in just 23 minutes off the bench. Coach
ACC's Rookie of the Year a season ago.
Foul against Corin as Raynaud will go to the free throw line.
That's the one thing Jeff Capel doesn't want to see. He told his team earlier in shoot around today, live with the results of Raynaud if you make him take a tough shot. And the left hand jump hook outside the paint, that's considered a tough shot, but you don't want to foul him and put him at the free throw line because, of course, an elite scorer as such, you let him see the basketball go through. As we see Gellers for the first time in this game, didn't play in the first half, but now an opportunity off of Coach Kyle Smith's bench to get involved in the action.
First point in quite a while from Maxime Raynaud, the ACC's leading scorer and leading rebounder, with a pair of free throws. He's got 16 on the night. And Benny Gieler, number 5 in black, defending Lowe, out on the floor for the first time, as you said, CA.
But I said Gieler. I was wrong. I couldn't read my own handwriting on that one.
Gieler.
I said Geller.
Yeah.
But it's actually Gieler.
That's all right.
No, it's not. But that's all right.
Boy, Guillermo Diaz-Graham, along with his brother, lighting it up here tonight at the Pitt.
Yeah, they're having themselves a time here shooting the basketball extremely well. And this is the Panther team that you're used to seeing here at home on the home floor, where they have been just fantastic on the offensive end. And now the defense has ratcheted up the match.
Catch and shoot 3 by Evan Stinson. It goes out of bounds. And that takes us to our next media timeout.
The Panthers scoring 91.6 per game, shooting 53.2% and 40% from 3 in their last 3 games at home. They look like they're headed that direction here tonight.
For the game, Corey, 59%, including 4 out of 5 to start the second half.
And they got off to such a slow start. Only scored 13 points in the first 10 minutes of this game, but we've seen them pour it on offensively. That was one of the concerns of Kyle Smith, is how good this team is on the offensive end of the floor, especially here on their home court.
Pitt's also controlled the paint, outscoring the Cardinal 22-8. Is Pittsburgh, big picture this year, they better as an offensive team or a defensive team, Corey?
They are much better as an offensive team. Again, the numbers that they're putting up this year, we did not see that from them last year. Jeff Capel said that they're still a good defensive team, but their offense has taken it to the next level. And a lot of that has to do with Jaland Lowe's development and his growth as a point guard, the way he pushes the pace and gets everyone involved. But we could have seen this earlier in his career had not been for really almost like a freak injury to Jaland Lowe. He was slotted to be the starting point guard last season, but dealt with an injury over the summer and got back into it slowly. But as you look at his numbers, his first 14 games coming off the bench, only 4.9 points per game. But then 19 games as a starter. Once, I believe, Ishmael Legget got hurt last year, he went into the starting lineup and never came out. And, of course, was a great freshman for this group.
Yeah, now leading the ACC as a sophomore in assists per game, while also scoring 17.5 points per night, as you see his numbers there. Legget. He's been so good this year, and especially here at the Pitt. He's found a home here in year number 2 in Oakland. He's up to 19 points.
Now, as you say Oakland, you might have to...
it's the neighborhood.
Well, I know it's the neighborhood. However, we've got a lot of Northern California people watching this game. With Stanford, of course, being in Palo Alto, so you got to break that down.
It's a great point. Not talking about the East Bay, talking about the neighborhood that the University of Pittsburgh sits here in Pittsburgh. And then that's why they call the student section the Oakland Zoo. Has nothing to do with Oakland, California, or Oakland, Michigan. Neighborhood here in the Steel City. Cardinal basketball, Stanford looking for its second win of the conference season. There you see the t-shirt, the Oakland Zoo.
You also see the points in the paint advantage Pittsburgh, and a lot of that has to do with Ishmael Legget. 17 points for him and has not made a 3-point field goal. I believe all 7 of his field goals are in the painted area. He's been in attack mode, getting downhill, following the scouting report of Coach Capel to make sure they attack Raynaud when he's on the defensive end of the floor.
Benny Guillermo at the point. He started the first 6 games of the year for Stanford, now coming off the bench for Kyle Smith. Here's the starting point guard. Corner 3 missed by Stinson. 1 and done for Stanford. Here come the Panthers. Lowe keeps the dribble. Lobs for Corin, who got tangled up and couldn't go retrieve it. Guillermo was giving up a lot of size and just held on for dear life.
Yeah, Guillermo, who started the first 6 games of the season this year, actually had a game where he made 6 threes for the Cardinal. Hasn't been getting as much playing time as they went with a bigger lineup to put Jalen Blakes at the point guard position, but Guillermo still a very valuable member of this team.
Lowe says, "You can't guard me," and goes by Okpara, and the foul is called.
That was really the issue. He played early last season, but he just didn't have that burst, didn't have that first step that you were expecting to see from him, and that we watched from him, of course, for so long as Jeff Capel was recruiting him, playing in the Houston Hoops organization, playing for his dad, Marlon.
And out of Fort Bend, Marshall, and it just makes you wonder what could have been with the Panthers if not for that freak injury, that if he was what he was in the first half of the season, what he was in the second half, they wouldn't have been even a bubble team.
Well, I can tell you, as Mom Jamala looks on, I can tell you who it absolutely worked out for, and that would be one Bub Carrington.
Yes.
Who hit the scene with a triple-double in his debut. Only the second ACC player to ever do so. The first was Dennis Scott.
And he never looked back. What a terrific one and done season with Pitt. They're the former backcourt mates. And yes, Jalen got himself his own triple-double earlier this season against VMI back on November 18th.
Yeah, and has had 2 more double-digit assist games since then. 3 in total on the season. Coming into this one, 31 assists in his last 3 games, so averaging a 10.33. I know you're a Syracuse guy. You don't really do the math. That's not much of your thing, but
I'm already on to the next thing. All right, so there have been 6 triple-doubles in the history of Pitt basketball. We know 2 of them. Can you name any of the other 4?
6 triple-doubles in Pitt basketball. Whew. Nah, I'm not even going to try. I got no clue.
You sure?
I'm sure.
All right.
Break it down for me.
Keith Starr twice, Darrell Porter and Ricardo Greer along with Bub.
I would have known Ricardo Greer. I did know that one. I didn't know the other.
You're forgiven. You're an ACC guy. You weren't around for the Big East days and the pre-Big East days. Because the man you said you hadn't heard of, Keith Starr, was back in the 70s, long before the Big East.
You were.
I was a little one.
He was growing up in the 70s.
I was
just born in the 70s.
Stop. What year were you born?
About 5 years before you. Sorry, after you.
Guillermo Diaz-Graham now into double digits, and Pitt running away with it.
And you've got to love the production you've gotten from Guillermo Diaz-Graham throughout this game. Hasn't had many double-figure games on the season, but has one here. Actually had a double-double here at home against West Virginia after taking stitches. So maybe you got to punch him in the eye every now and then to get him going, or just allow him to run free to the rim, get the put-back dunk. I'm sure this gets him going as well.
But you said earlier, you alluded to it, they need more than 6 points a game out of him.
They really do. They need more than 6 points. They need more than 6 rebounds out of him as he anchors the defense on the interior. And you're going to need him to be more aggressive on both ends of the floor for this Pitt team to see the success that the ACC is expecting of them this year.
That triple by Okpara, the first Stanford field goal of the second half, came nearly 7 minutes in. Guillermo. Well, Guillermo Diaz-Graham won't get credit for that rebound.
That was a great find. Just Conte unable to be able to handle it.
Okpara had it knocked out of bounds. And it's Pittsburgh basketball.
Now, interesting to see that, again, that's a play, and of course, as a point guard, the last possession where Jaland Lowe drops a dime to Papa Conte. Conte can't handle the basketball. Who gets that turnover?
Because should be Papa if it's a good pass.
Okay, it's going to be interesting to see. I need to make sure to check the box to see. Papa has 1 turnover.
There you go.
So he got that one because Jaland Lowe already has 4. And again, that's getting high for him coming into this in the 2 ACC games. 10 assists to 7 turnovers, which is well below his normal rate.
Okpara blocks the shot. With a burst, Anthony Batson draws the foul, and he'll be at the free throw line.
In the college football playoff semifinals, that's an amazing stat. Makes you look back and say, is the bye worth it? The rest, of course, definitely did not pan out because of the rust.
Of course, this is Steeltown, and I'm guessing we've lost a viewer or 2 in the last few minutes because across town, the Steelers are playing the Cincinnati Bengals right now over on ESPN and ABC.
Big AFC North matchup.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that there were a bunch of folks who either went to that game or stayed home to watch that entire game rather than coming here to Pitt to watch Pitt basketball.
I've got a lot of friends that are Steelers fans as we see great defense on Jorge Diaz-Graham out beyond the arc trying to dribble the basketball as the shot clock goes down. Nice move by Legget to get the shot off, and he has not been able to miss in this game. Doing a great job once he got going attacking the basket, has not slowed down yet.
Just go get a bucket. He is now perfect inside the three-point line. He is 9 for 9.
Pretty effective day.
Yeah. And that's from a guy who on his home floor.
That's a great block. That should count for the 2 that Austin needed right there. You got to let this one fly.
Zack Austin says, give me that. Gets the stare down, and now we'll shoot a pair of free throws.
Now this we are going to see on SportsCenter tonight, my friend. This is a top 10 play on the defensive end by Zack Austin, going up and no taunting, just a little nudge like, what are you thinking trying to challenge me at the rim right there? Give me that. I love it. That may be number 1 tonight. I have absolutely tuned in watching SportsCenter to see how far up the ladder Zack Austin is able to make it on SportsCenter's top 10.
Jeff Capel says Zack Austin is the best athlete he has had in a Pitt uniform over 7 years.
And that's saying a lot because they've had some players here and some guys that can climb the ladder, but Zack Austin, who has been inserted into the starting lineup after the injury to Dunn, and of course making Coach Capel look even more like a genius for doing so. You see him at the top of the ACC and block shots leaders from a wing player.
And so that is his first block of the night. The next one will give him 200 career blocks to go along with 175 made threes, 600 rebounds, and 1,200 points.
That one block should have counted for 2.
Maxime Raynaud, the offensive rebound. Keeler. And the ball grabbed by Brandon Cummings.
And that's one of the guys that we didn't even mention. We didn't talk about Damian Dunn, who was double-figure scorer for this Panthers team for the first 5 games of the season, injured in the Ohio State game 2 minutes in. They get him back and healthy. Look out. I mean, this Panther team has a chance to not just be good, but possibly win the ACC. They could be that good this year.
It'll go the other way to Stanford after the missed shot by Lowe. Just about midway through this second half. Yeah, Damian Dunn averaging 11 points per game. He spent 4 years at Temple, last year at Houston. He wasn't healthy last year, but he has been a big force when healthy this year for the Panthers.
He's actually averaging 13 points a game. Only down to 11.1 because he got hurt 2 minutes into the game against Ohio State. See, I had 2 of those games in my career.
Oh, you keep track of those points.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, it hurt my average.
Of course.
You got 2 games where you score 0.
There he is.
to get a chance to see Damian.
You put him right back into the starting lineup when he's healthy.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Not from what Zack Austin's been able to do. But you also look at how the team is playing during the stretch. When he's available, he's actually getting back on the floor, starting to do some working out. Was in the warm-ups for the team today for the first time. He's not ready to play yet, but had surgery on that thumb. And they're expecting to have him back within the next few weeks to add to the depth, to come off the bench, at least immediately. I mean, you know, from in early parts of his return, then I think you make a determination of whether you're a better team with him on the floor to start, or if it's Zack Austin staying out there in the starting lineup.
So a big game coming up Tuesday at Cameron Indoor on ESPN. They will measure themselves against clearly the team to beat in the ACC.
And you have to remember, a season ago, Duke came into this building and shot lights out against the Panthers and blowing them out on the home floor. Less than 10 days later, Pitt went to Cameron Indoor and beat the Blue Devils on their home floor, of course, which nothing makes Coach Capel even happier than getting a win at his alma mater.
2 on the shot clock. No trouble for Shizam Akpara, the junior from Bronxville, New York.
Back to the Panthers, 5, Ishmael Legget.
Ishmael Legget in the midst of his 5th 20-point game this season, throws it away. Gieler blocked by Legget. It'll be Stanford basketball underneath.
And Legget, who had the turnover, getting back defensively, blocking the shot by Gieler, but immediately having the conversation with Cam Corrin about why the turnover happened. And Legget goes in at the point guard position with Lowe on the bench.
Batson missed the shot, an offensive foul, says Teddy Valentine. A trip against the shooter, Anthony Batson Jr. TV still getting it done. 10 Final Fours, 11 Final Fours.
I mean, you know, best of the best. He's one of the best in the business. When you consider Teddy Valentine, the ability to stay in shape, not far from home. Grew up in West Virginia. So this is more like a home game for TV Teddy.
Although he's a South Carolinian now.
Yes, hold on. He much prefer. He flew south for the winter and stayed.
No doubt. A rare miss for Guillermo Diaz-Graham.
He knew that one was off. He started chasing it as soon as it left his hand.
Now you told me you're not supposed to chase your own shot.
No, but again, not when you think it's going in.
Oh, now you put that caveat on it.
Well, I mean, again, he knew he missed that one bad.
Go
that's
get
why.
it.
That's why he was. No, you don't follow the shot.
Go get it.
They taught you that in the '60s when you were born.
And it led to winning basketball, Corey. Akpara fighting hard for position. Corrin's going to be called for the foul. Okay. We all know the game they play on TNT, weather guy Charles Barkley.
Who he played for?
Who he played for. You and I have not played our favorite version of that in a couple of years, but I want to play it tonight.
Okay.
Who you play with for Corey Alexander.
We have done that often, though.
But we haven't done it lately, and with the new teams in the league, I think it's worth revisiting. Who did you play for or play with during your days in the NBA out of these two schools? So from between 1995 or 1985, how old are you? No, 95 to 05. From Stanford and from Pittsburgh, who were your NBA teammates?
Well, Pittsburgh, easy. My man Fluid, a.k.a. Charles Smith, one of the best to play for the Panthers, so that's easy. Stanford, well, whenever you think of Stanford, you got to think about who were the smart guys.
So you weren't hanging with them.
Team. Oh, man, I'm trying to think, and I'm going to be mad when you say this because I'm sure. Who did I play with from Stanford?
I'll give you a minute to think about it.
Yeah,
Before I start giving you clues.
That's going to take some time.
All right.
Is the Cardinals try to fight back into this one? Now down 15 after they made free throws and trying to find a way to build some momentum here with a little over 8 minutes remaining.
Corrin, strong, and there's a reverse. He's making sure he's getting out of the Sports Center top 10.
Yeah, if you can double the plays up, I absolutely believe he will be at #1 today. Zack Austin with his second highlight, this one on the offensive end.
Second huge smile as well. He knew he had a good one there. Foul against Guillermo Diaz-Graham.
Well, Zack Austin, highlight so nice, we got to show him twice. We showed the block twice. I hope we have 2 different views of the reverse putback by Austin. Absolutely great shout out to the camera crew, to our production crew for making it come through with our Sports Center top 10 nominee.
Back to our trivia question, who he played with. Corey played in the NBA for the Spurs, the Nuggets, the Magic, the Bobcats from '95 to '05. And you got correct the one former Panther you teamed up with in the league, Charles Smith, during your days with the Spurs, but you didn't get.
I did get it.
The former Cardinal, not while we were on air.
I did get it while we were on air.
It took a while.
It took a while, but I did get it, and you didn't tell me. But all I really needed to do was look up. Because, of course, the answer to the question is Brevin Knight, the older brother of Brandon Knight, whose jersey hangs right beside Charles Smith's. So I should have just looked up for the answer.
You should have.
But it took me a little longer, but you didn't tell me. I got it correct.
That was right. I was going to give you a clue if you didn't come up with it. Corin putting together a nice game for Pittsburgh. But Brevin really was a linchpin for this Stanford program, helping Coach Montgomery get it going.
Talking with their radio announcers earlier today, John Plott said that he was the guy that changed everything for Stanford basketball. He said Brevin Knight was the reason why they were able to get the Lopez twins, the reason they were able to get Josh Childress, other guys coming in that end up being NBA players and able to boost the program in the right direction under Coach Mike Montgomery back in the day.
And you played with him with the old Charlotte Bobcats.
With the inaugural year of the Bobcats in Charlotte, where my assistant coach was one Jeff Capel II.
Ah, how about that?
How about that?
How about that? The father of the head coach of the Pitt Panthers, of course.
This basketball world is a very small world. And of course, we miss Coach Cape every day. Mama Cape, I know, is home watching her baby boy, who does so much for the ALS Foundation, where we lost Coach Capel to ALS.
Of course, it was his father who gave Jeff III his first coaching job, even though apparently from what Jeff was saying today, he wasn't even sure his dad knew what was going on in terms of all the responsibility Jeff III took on with Old Dominion and kind of morphed into being on the coaching staff.
Then went on soon after to be a third assistant. Oh, the nice pass from Ishmael Legget as Guillermo Diaz-Graham gets out in transition. I tell you what, the Panthers have provided a number of highlights throughout this game. They may have their own section of Sports Center Top 10 tonight.
Akpara with the answer 3 at the other end.
Akpara has been has a strong performance here in the second half. He's given Coach Smith quality minutes. He's been in and out of the starting lineup, but given him great production here. He's really been the only guy getting anything going offensively for the Cardinal here in the second half.
As you can see, 14 points. Meanwhile, Raynaud has 21. 8th time this year. He's gone over 20 for Stanford. Jaland Lowe with the 3 ball as coach calls timeout.
And it's looking like it's going to be the 9th time this year that the Panthers go over 80 in a game. And we have to remember, the first 10 minutes of this game, they only scored 13 points. They got off to a very slow start, but they have gotten it going here. The nifty drop off from Ishmael Legget to Guillermo Diaz-Graham, getting out in transition. The finish, another entry into the Sports Center Top 10 nominees tonight.
Well, Pitt has been a second half team so far this year, putting together a big second half here tonight to pull away. They didn't have to rally in the second half, but they were down 9 in the first half.
They did have to rally early in this one. Once they got the offense going, it got going in spectacular fashion. And this is the guy that they were able to get going behind. Ishmael Legget provided the scoring punch in the first half, getting into the painted area. 13 first half points for him. And now everyone has gotten involved on the offensive end here in the second half. Pitt 7 of 18 from beyond the three-point arc, but shooting over 50% throughout the entire game.
We were talking about Jeff Capel III and his father. One of the things he got from his dad, and I mentioned earlier tonight, no excuses, figure it out. And that's exactly what he's been able to do here at Pittsburgh.
I tell you what, you're talking about Jeff Capel II, a gentleman that changed so many lives, not just his 2 sons, but was a father to so many, especially in the game of basketball. You go back to the great Darrell Armstrong, who played for him at Fayetteville State. And again, so many different people who looked to him as a mentor, including me. So, of course, Coach Capel, one of the best to ever do it.
Austin was fouled. And Jeff II, I just love the looks on the 2 sons' faces.
Here's the best part about this. Jason maybe was like 12 in this picture. Jeff would come on his visit to the University of Virginia. Of course, I was his primary recruiter.
By the way, was Jeff on his tiptoes there?
Oh, he's definitely, yeah. Well, no, Jason wasn't full grown at that point. That's what it was. But we would try to, Jeff would be on his visit, or unofficial visit, coming in, of course. His father, you know, Jeff II was great friends with Dennis Wolf, one of our assistant coaches. So they would come up all the time. And Jason would want to go out with us. So I can take Jeff out, but Jason is like 12 years old, 13 years old. He wants to go, but he's so tall that everybody thinks that, you know, he's our age. But so when I said that he's probably like 13 years old in that picture, he was taller than Jeff, I think, at that age. There it is. That's block number 200 for Zack Austin.
For his career at High Point University in the last 2 years at Pitt, now 200 career block shots. Got a foul on the dunk attempt that will send Jalen Blakes to the line.
When you know a number coming into the game, of course, it's going to be a highlight whenever you get it. His first block was much more spectacular, but this one puts him in history. 200 blocks. And you ran down the numbers before.
Wow.
It's a very elite company that he's in from the milestones that he achieved during his college career.
Move over, Duke great Shane Battier. You now have company in the exclusive 1,200 points, 600 rebound, 175 threes, and now 200 block shot club. And with that, number 55 will take a seat and get a nice round of applause here at the Peak.
And guess where his next game is?
Oh,
at
Cameron. How about that?
At Cameron.
Under 5 minutes to go. And the Panthers on the verge of extending their home court winning streak to 15 in a row. The maestro continues to do everything right. Jaland Lowe all the way to the basket for a 21-point lead.
And he really has taken command of this team from a leadership role at the point guard position. Of course, shared those responsibilities with the lottery pick of Carrington a season ago. Now he is the guy at the point. And you can see the way that this team gravitates towards him. But when you consider the fact that you've got Damian Dunn returning at some point soon, what Cummings has been able to do during his freshman year, this Pitt team could very well have the best backcourt in the ACC.
Jalen Thompson off the Stanford bench with his first three. Amsel Delalich into the game for Pittsburgh for the first time, number 52. Shot clock at 2. That did graze the iron for Papa Amadou Kante, but here come the Cardinal the other way.
If he had made that shot from falling down and catching it on his seat, standing up and shooting it, that would have been a SportsCenter top 10 nominee as well.
So you've got, what, 4 now?
I've got 3.
3, and that would have been the 4th.
Yep.
Stinson draws the contact, and the foul against Delalich.
The Panthers have been celebrating ever since the 10-minute mark of this game. I love the cohesiveness, the chemistry that this Panther team is.
The unquestioned best team in the ACC. Between Clemson and Pitt, who would you put 2 and 3 right now?
Oh, I would put them tied for second.
That's a cop-out.
No, it's not, because as Coach Greenberg just said, Brad Brownell is one of the most disrespected coaches in the country. He has been great throughout his tenure at Clemson. Gets probably done more with less than any coach that you'll see. But what Jeff Capel has been able to do over the last 3 seasons, and the way that Pittsburgh has changed things on the offensive end of the floor, makes them special. Now, we know they're always going to compete on the defensive end, but right now, the way they're scoring and getting after it, according to the net top 50, Pitt would be 2, and Clemson would actually be 4 in that scenario with SMU at 32. But of course, we know that net doesn't mean anything because it's kept my Panthers out of the NCAA tournament.
Delalich
last year
with his first points of the night. Yeah, the net is just one of the tools used to determine the field of 68.
And I'm trying to figure out why it's just one.
Yeah.
When you consider that it's the NCAA's measuring stick, so why don't they use that to help?
That I don't have an answer for. Delalich off the turnover. His teammate flared to the corner.
Yeah, he was expecting a 3-on-2 to the rim. Actually, Diaz-Graham ran to the corner waiting for the 3 ball.
Jaland Blakes, who has had a quiet night scoring the basketball here tonight, makes it 76-61, 2:45 to go. Cummings, tough shot.
And Brandon Cummings has shown that he can score the basketball. Brandon is spelled the same way as Brandon Knight, as we mentioned, whose jersey hangs in the rafter. We were told that the spelling of Brandon Knight's name has something to do with Brandon Cummings. However, his mom named Brandy, so it made it very simple to be able to use that.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's more mom.
You think it's more mom?
Gotta be. Mom named him.
Okay.
So her name is B-R-A-N-D-I. Her son's name, her younger son's name, is B-R-A-N-D-I-N. Usually Brandon is with an O or an E. Under 2 minutes to go. Papa Amadou Kante earns a trip to the free throw line.
There's Dad checking out the action here. Of course, has to be a huge Panther fan, being that he's not had 2 sons playing here for the Pitt. We see Nelly, who had opportunity to call a game here on ACC Network Extra when his little brother went for 30. Had a 30 ball, so he got a great opportunity to see those two together in a post-game interview where Brandon got to go over and sit with his brother, chalk it up about his career high during his freshman year.
Yeah, it was back on December 11th after the Eastern Kentucky game when little brother went for 30, earned ACC Rookie of the Week. It's the 3rd most points ever by a Pitt freshman.
So this young man has a world of potential, was a starter. The last game out against Cal had 15 points in that game with Ishmael Legget sidelined with the ankle injury.
And he's just the latest Panther to be lighting it up. I mean, those last 3 games, including that start, he was 10 for 15 from 3.
But that's why we talk about the ability for this team to have the best backcourt in the ACC when you consider both their starting backcourt members average combined 35 points per game with Legget and Lowe. But then when you bring in Cummings and you get Damian Dunn back in the mix, you know, I would absolutely have to say it would be Pitt and North Carolina right at the top of the list.
Marlon Barnes Jr., redshirt freshman for Pitt, into the game called for traveling. And so it's Stanford basketball.
Speaking of backcourt, how about Jeff Capel and Curtis Akins right behind them? Those 2 guys would be a bad backcourt together.
Great Pitt Panther who has been on the radio call as an analyst for many, many years. Pride of Buffalo, New York. Curtis Akins. And the Cummings boys played AAU ball for him here in the city of Pittsburgh. And played here in this building while they were growing up about 45 minutes away from here in Midland, Pennsylvania. Like you said, the sport of basketball, not all that big.
Get a chance to see Kurt, always a sharp dressed man over on the sidelines.
Yep.
He comes to games like that, though. I mean, he's shoot around everything. He's dressed up. You know, I'm very ragtag.
Yeah, you're a little more casual. You haven't tucked in your shirt since the pandemic, I don't think.
They can only see from the chest up.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jeff Capel has himself another team that's going to be tough to deal with, whether at the Pete or on the road for this ACC season. On the verge of their 15th straight win at home. It's been more than a decade since they've done that. And it feels like he's getting things back to the Jamie Dixon years.
Yeah, and dating back to last season, you're talking about now this will be the 8th straight ACC win. So at the regular season, of course, they lost in the ACC tournament, but when you consider the regular season, won their last 5 a season ago, now off to a 3-0 start here in 1 minute and 16 seconds. But you love to see the starters getting an opportunity to watch some of the reserves and even some of the walk-ons, etc., get an opportunity to play. But a big test coming up for the Panthers on the road on Tuesday night.
Papa Amadou Conte, who we have not seen a lot of tonight, brings a physicality to the team. Good, he's healthy this year, and he was huge in the win against Ohio State back on November 29th. A career-high 12 points in 17 minutes off the bench against the Buckeyes before he fouled out. And
again, a game that went to overtime, and the Panthers end up winning by 1 in overtime, so everyone's contribution was necessary in that one, especially when you lose Damian Dunn 2 minutes into that game.
Everybody's contributed tonight for the Panthers on the verge of their 12th win of the season.
And the 9th straight game over 80 points here on this floor for the Panthers, who got their offense going in the latter 30 of this game.
Off the bench, shooting it is Cameron Grant, a redshirt freshman from Lakewood, Ohio, whose father, Chris Grant, is a longtime NBA executive and scout, former GM of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And just as soon as we're done here, we'll get you to Cal Clemson. Brandon Cummings banks it home.
Cummings is crafty. You can see that right now, just going off the wrong leg, but recognizing the angle and going glass to be able to get a bucket in the paint.
And so Batson will have 2 free throws. Freshman from Scottsdale, Arizona, who originally committed to Rice and then wound up flipping to Stanford. One of the many newcomers for Kyle Smith, who has gelled well this year with a 9-4 record currently.
And another young man coming from one great academic institution to another. Once again, you transferring to Stanford, you better be coming from an elite level academic school, and you had to have done very well to get there. And speaking of done very well, these Pittsburgh Panthers have done very well in front of their home crowd here tonight to get up to a 3-0 start in ACC play. Huge test in Durham. Jeff Capel going back home to Cameron Indoor Stadium coming up on Tuesday night on ESPN.
Going to have a shot clock violation. And did you notice Brandon Cummings got rid of the basketball before the horn sounded?
Oh, you don't want that turnover.
Got it.
That's got to be a team turnover, not the individual.
And so now half a second will tick off. And that is the longest home court winning streak since 2012 here at Pitt.
And Jeff Capel has something special happening with this Pitt Panthers.